Hello everybody, I'm Joe and welcome to another speculation video that might predict the future of the Disciplined Priest, or it will just stay as a pure speculation video and wishful thinking. In one of my streams I went over the current talents and spells of the Disciplined Priest and the Legion ones to see all of the changes it went through. Legion Disciplined Priest was a lot better as many other classes were back then, and I saw a few boring traits from Legion being implemented as talents in BFA. In my previous videos about Red Paladins and Vengeance Demon Hunters, I used stuff from Legion as well, but mine are not as boring for starters. So here's an example. In Legion, Disciplined Priest had a trait in his legendary weapon that Atonement reduced the damage taken, and that boring minor trait is now a last row for Disciplined Priest. Pretty lame and lazy work from Blizzard, I'd say. Okay, there is one new talent that is fun, I have to admit, and it's Luminous Barrier, and I would love to see that talent, continue to exist in Shadowlands as well. So some of the traits Blizzard kept as passive abilities, which is nice. But overall, if I had to choose between Legion Disciplined Priest and BFA Disciplined Priest, I think most of you will agree. Okay, so let's start with the first talent row. In the first row, I wouldn't change anything, it's just fine how the talents work, and all of them are good in one occasion or another, or in more than one occasion. Schism is DPS increase, which correlates to more healing through Atonement, and is a nice DPS and heal cooldown on demand. So Twist of Fate is also good when you constantly have people on low HP or mobs that die every 10 seconds, so you get a bonus of damage and healing, which is good on bursting weeks. Castigation is just flat out increased DPS and healing that revolves around penance and doesn't need a certain situation like low HP on targets. The second row is a utility row that can be improved slightly. So Angelic Feather, I'd go by making it baseline with only one charge and 30 seconds recharge, and make a talent that improves Angelic Feather by giving it one more charge and lowering the recharge time to 20 seconds. And it will seem like a nerf right now, but Body and Soul is also a passive that you can only apply once every 10 seconds or so, and instead of Body and Soul you get a new talent that improves Fade, and when you use Fade all damage taken is reduced by 15%. Honestly, I don't see priests needing like 3 charges of Angelic Feather. I think 1 charge of Feather and Body of Soul being baseline is just enough, and priests can be a bit more tankier with Fade. Masochism can stay as it is. So now we will have to choose more mobility or survivability. Okay, moving to the level 45 row or the mana refund row with, damage increase as well. Well, not all of the talents increase your damage, but they all refund mana. So this row I would only change shield discipline and make it so that when the applied shield is consumed, it explodes and deals AoE damage evenly spread amongst all enemies. So Discipline has a good single target damage, but I think the AoE needs slight boost, and I think this talent will be ideal for Mythic Plus. So the next row, level 60, is also a utility row, which I wouldn't change except for Dominant Mind. I have really no idea how to change the talent, but something better than... Okay, moving on to the level 75 row, and here on out things will get a little bit more spicier because the last 3 rows can really impact Disciplined Priest and how it plays out. First, I want to go over the changes that the last 3 rows received from Legion moving to BFA. So in Legion we had different talents. Instead of Sins of the Many, which increases our damage, there was a talent that increased the absorption shield on Smite, and instead of Contrition, that makes you heal with penance instead of doing DPS as you're supposed to do, there was a talent that places a big shield on the target, which was useful on Necrotic Weeks for the tanks, and Shadow Covenant was good for bursting weeks since it didn't have cooldown like it has now, if I remember correctly, but it costed a lot of mana. Well, if I'm wrong, and Shadow Covenant always had cooldown, so if you want to make this talent better, just remove the cooldown and make it usable at any point. Actually, the level 90 row is the same as it was in Legion, but in Shadowlands it will look different. And the last 100 row is the one with most changes. Lenience is now talent that makes Atonement reduce the damage taken, and instead of Lenience we had Power Word Infusion, which increases spell power and healing by 20% for 15 seconds on a 3 minutes cooldown. And instead of Luminous Barrier we had Grace, which increased the direct non-atonement healing on targets with Atonement. And Mastery back then increased the healing through Atonement. So now Grace is the mastery for Disciplined Priest, where it increases the healing and absorption on targets with Atonement. And what the old Grace mean is when you apply Atonement on a target and you heal him directly with Shadowland, the Shadowland healing is increased, or when you apply shields on the target, the shield is increased. That is the direct non-atonement healing on targets with Atonement, and that is a really good Mythic Plus talent. So for Shadowlands, Sins of the Many, the level 75 talent row, and Lenience, the level 100 row, both of the talents will be removed, and the mastery of the priest will be also changed. So the new mastery will increase the damage you deal with your spells and abilities, and Lenience will be a passive ability. So Lenience now can be only applied by Power Word Radiance. And since we don't have Grace anymore, it can be a level 75 talent row instead of Sins of the Many and work as the old Grace, where it increases the direct non-atonement healing on targets with Atonement. And that can make Disciplined Priest a lot better for Mythic Plus. And Contrition will be removed and replaced with a talent that decreases your Radiance cooldown and makes it jump to one more target. We will have a decent Mythic Plus and also a raid talent. And for the level 90 row, we can have a new talent instead of Purge the Wicked, since Flash Heal, Mind Blast and Power Word Death will be available for every spec. The new talent will make Flash Heal to also apply Atonement, and the Overheal with Flash Heal transforms in a shield. And for the last row, Lenience will be replaced with a new talent called Barrier of the Devoted, and increase healing done by Atonement by 100% on targets inside your Power Word barrier. So there will be a choice to make. Do I prevent damage, or do I make massive healing and plan when I use my barrier? Or if there is a prolonged damage period, you can go with Evangelism. And Power Word Shield will still remain the same as it is now, so we won't have to worry about shield scaling and being too OP, and can be additional way of applying Atonement. So these are my initial thoughts without knowing the Covenant abilities, and there are still a lot of ways that things can change, and things will change, and Disciplined Priest will never be the same. I really hope you liked my speculation videos, and if you do, subscribe to my channel and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Also, you can share your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. You can also check me on Twitch with the link in the description. And until I figure out a cool way to end the videos, I will just say